Duterte and the BBM group be playing, will be the major players? What do you think?
Yeah. Maybe I have to speak not as a former senatorial candidate of ABP Laban. I would like to speak more of being an academician or maybe some sort of an analyst. So I don't claim any expertise about being a good political analyst. No? Kita natin yung resulta na yung elections na ito. Ang nag-number one si Bogo with more than 27 million votes. Number 3, si Bato de la Rosa. Number 2, si Bam Aquino. Okay. So, makita natin yung pag-search nga ni Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino. Bigla na naman sila sumunod and they got very high votes after the elections. Pag tinignan mo naman yung resulta ng other candidates like Tito Soto, Ping Lacson, hindi mo masasabi sila talaga yung kandidato ng administrasyon because they are a man of their own. Mananalo yung dalawa na yan kasi sa dami ng mga sumusuporta sa kanilang big political parties and political groups. For example, Tito Soto, for that matter, alam naman natin yung performance ni Tito Sen. At saka alam natin siya yung, I think he is the chairman of NPC, Nationalist People's Coalition, or president siya ng NPC. The same breath kay Senator Ping Lacson, talagang meron silang sariling pwersa. But, kung titignan mo ngayon, yung nangyari, 0 yung administration sa senatorial election. Dahil ang partido nila is Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. Sino mga kandidato dyan? Manny Pacquiao, Tolentino, Benhar Abalos, nakatalo. Walang lusot sa PNP. Ang nakiparang manilang nilasos. Magkaroon ba yung budget na naging paratala for the party? Yung kanilang sa 10 billion? Wow! 10 billion more than the number of amount na alam ng Comelec under the law. Kung totoo yun, that is supposed to be the party fund or the alliance fund na 10 billion. Yung mga personal pang pera ng mga ito. Lumusot si Erwin Tulfo, but Erwin Tulfo, inadapt na lang yung recently ginawang lakas-CMD yan. Hindi naman original na lakas yan. Si Erwin. Inadapt siya kasi meron siyang malakas na grupo, yung CIS, etc., yung kanilang social media platform, yung magkakapatid. No? So, they cannot claim itong administrasyon na meron silang nanalong talagang totoo sila doon. Dahil talo yung kanilang tatlong kandidato sa PFP. No? Pero, makikita natin yung resulta ng eleksyon. This is going to have a mirror of what's going to transpire in 2028. Ang klaro dito, malakas ang endorsement power ng mga Duterte. Kita natin sa outcome yan sa overseas Filipino workers, kita natin sa outcome sa Visayas and Mindanao, dahil dyan sa endorsement power ni PRRD at ni PNP Sara. So, sino ang mga possible front-runner in 2028? Well, kung hindi nila makonvict si PNP Sara, she will be the front-runner in 2028. Dito sa other Duterte candidates, andyan sigurado na yan. Presidential na rin si Bogo because he was re-elected. No? Imagine, in 2022, di ba, flinote namin yung pangalan niyang PDP laban candidate siya. Pero this time around, he is able to prove his worth when re-elected siya and being the top notcher with more than 27 million. Huwag niyo kalimutan si Robin Padilla pa. At number 1 din yan noong 2022 election, though he is running for senator in 2020. So, pag tinignan natin yung mass-based support ng mga kandidato na potential candidate in 2020, nasa panig yan ng PDP laban Duterte Group. No? Duterte Group. So, itong resurgence ng grupo ng sinabi natin Dilawan o Pinklawan, titignan natin kung ano ang magiging kahihinatnan dito. Will they become close ally of the outgoing administration? Sabi na natin ito, papaalis na itong administrasyon na ito. Pero very clearly, itong outgoing administration na ito, I don't think any one of them has a probable presidential timber in 2028. Yun ang nakikita ko dito na situation. Maybe another dark horse will come out in the open pero hindi manggagaling sa administration ticket. I don't think from the CMD, I don't think from Partido Federal, I don't think from even NPC. Maybe NPC will not even want to be, identified with the outgoing administration of 2028. Tingnan natin si Yorme, kung magiging plano ni Yorme. Because Yorme also won overwhelmingly in the city of Manila. Hindi pa pwede si Vico Soto. Hindi pa siya hinog dahil 35 years old pa lang siya. So, hindi pa siya qualified by age in 2028. So, ito yung mga dinat. So, nakikita namin ngayon, ang malakas dyan, well, tingnan natin, si Erwin Tulfo, o London number 4 ba si Erwin Tulfo? O kaya si Rafi Tulfo, no? Yung dalawang Tulfo brothers, but Rafi Tulfo is running for election in 2028. So, yun ang nakikita. But right now, the front runner is overwhelmingly Bibi Sara.
Okay, Atty., this is a personal question. You see Amy Marcos, she named it, no? Amy Marcos. Anong sabihin mo?
Well, si Manang Amy made because she is a Ilocana, like me, binutuan siya ng mga Ilocano. At malaki yung naging tulong ng endorsement ni Bibi Sara sa kanya at ni Senator elect for Bibi. So, without the Bibi Sara endorsement, baka lahat ng mga supporters, die-hard Duterte supporters, ay talagang hindi siya binoto. Pero nagkaroon siguro ng somehow softening of the position of some die-hard Duterte supporters. Kaya pag titingnan mo sa Mindanao, yun, Duterte, Mas, Camille Villar, and Amy Marcos ang lumakas.
Okay, so you said that in 2025 election, Duterte won. The Duterte group won.
Definitely. Clear. Klaro yun. Sa outcome ng mga elections. Tatlo sa aming senatorial candidates ang nanalo, and doon sa top 24, halos nandun kami lahat.
Okay, now question, Atty., what will happen to the President Duterte?
Ayun.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that, bro. Kasi we are now more energized to ask for Tatay Digong to be brought home. Bring him home, Tatay Digong. So, we are now going to organize more rallies, more meetings here in the Philippines and abroad. In fact, I am leaving for Japan, I'm leaving for Singapore, I may even go to the Netherlands in the next weeks to come to rally our overseas Philippine workers. Magpasalamat sa kanila, but at the same time, maintain the strong clamor na kailangan makauwi si Tatay Digong. Hopefully, makauwi siya before June 30 so that he can take his oath as the new mayor-elect of Davao City. So, we're just hoping na magkaroon ng breakthrough yung legal situation. Yung mga lawyers na hindi na magagaling. So, sana nga magkaroon na ng decision ng ICC. We are happy that their lead prosecutor, Mr. Khan, recused himself after he was implicated for a very anomalous case. No? At ewan ko kung sino nilalagay nilang prosecutor. But alam naman natin na talagang ito ay walang jurisdiction yung ICC. So it's just a matter of time, Rod. So, but we are now going to have a more active campaign for bringing Tatay Digong home here in the Philippines.
Yeah, Atty., as a lawyer, what is your message to Secretary Roque?
I think Harry Roque is a very brilliant lawyer. He knows what defense he is going to take. Kita ko naman, nagkaroon na ng resolution ng Department of Justice about this case. I don't think, I don't know if Harry is going to file a motion for reconsideration in order that whatever decision of the DOD, which would most likely deny his MR, then he can go up to the higher court pursuant to the rule on exhaustion of administrative remedies. Kasi kung hindi siya maging MR, it would be premature for him to go up to the Court of Appeals to question the resolution of the Department of Justice. That's one option that he can. Hindi na kasi pwede ngayon yung dati under the old rules na motion for determination of probable cause. Dati meron yan. Pero wala na yan under the new rules of court na hindi ka na pwede mag-file ng motion before the same court na issue ng warrant of arrest. So I think Harry Roque would be filing a motion for consideration, then mag-file siya ng petition before the Court of Appeals all the way up to the Supreme Court. So wala pang final naman yung resolution na yan. So meanwhile, Harry Roque, I think, will enjoy his stay in Europe and will continue as what I've been watching in his blog, yung kanyang ginagawa. I wish you sana may malampasan ni Harry Roque ito. Kasi sa tingin ko naman talaga, wala naman siyang active participation doon sa sinachurch nilang human trafficking ba? Sabi ko, bakit nag-recall pa si Harry Roque ng mga pogo workers kung yun ang binibenta sa kanya? Was he involved in that? Perhaps he may have mistakenly associated himself with some pogo operators na nakasabay niyang kumain o biberenta ng kanyang tao. But for him to be implicated as one of the mastermind of committing these human trafficking accusations, hindi naman siguro gagawin Harry Roque. So that will be the legal remedy of Harry Roque.
Do you plan to protest that 16 million overvotes? Number two, do you plan to run again for senator?
Well, as far as the 16.8 overvotes, hindi naman kailangan ng mag-file ng election protest. Kasi iba yung process niya. Tatapos na yung proclamation. So, wala ng jurisdiction ng COMELEC to decide on as to whether you were able to get enough number of votes. You have to go to the SEC, the Senate Electoral Tribunal. That would be very expensive. You're going to question 16.8, it will be expensive. Oh my God. Kung 1 peso per voter yun, 16.8. Wala nga akong ginastos sa election. Sabi ko nga, mga volunteers lahat yan sumama sa akin, di ba? So, I don't intend, but I am just calling the attention of the COMELEC because under the Constitution, we have the right to information on matters of public concern, di ba? Guaranteed yan sa Bill of Rights natin. It's the right of every individual Filipino to know the real information on matters of public concern. And this is a matter of public concern. Ba't nagkaroon ng 16.8 million overvotes? Gusto ko lang pakinggan ano ang explanation ng COMELEC. So yun lang yung aking panawagan sa COMELEC. Am I going to run in the 2028 elections? Alam nyo, nag-umpisa lang akong mga kampanya, Marso na eh. Hindi na ako makapag-umpisa ng February 11. Batin lang ako doon sa proclamation rally noong February 13. After that, wala kayong nakita mga posters ko. Wala. Kasi wala nga akong pambili ng poster. No? Tapos meron na akong nakita, ilang poster doon, sino naglalagay doon? May mga kaibigan ako, akong pagawa ng poster para naman may pakitang kandidato ha. So practically, I started campaigning Marso, mga March 1 or March 3 to be exact. Na-imbita ako doon sa Dipolog, pumunta ako sa Dipolog City sa Zamboanga del Norte. That was the very first event na akin talaga pong pangangampanya. And late ako nangampanya eh. 2 months practically. Kaya umpisan ko na dito, Rod.
Okay.
3 years in advance, nangangampanya na ako for 2028. Yeah.
Attorney, itong election natin, the youth vote, I think, played a big part, no? Kaya ang kaso ko lang, yung news board ba, nabili din ba?
Oo, walang hindi nabibili ngayon. Nakita ko yung mga kabataan, sabi nga ni Ma'am Nikki, kahit na hindi nga butante, pumipila para makahawak ng sobre. No? It happened all over the country. Not only here in Metro Manila, but all over the country. Pero, you know, may mga naging beneficiary ng mga messaging about the interest of the youth na medyo hindi talaga totoo yun. I'm not referring to any particular candidate, but they were able to capitalize on it, that they were able to snatch that particular message na parang sila may pakalaan dyan. In reality, hindi. Suriin po yung aming istorya. For example, the Universal Tertiary Education Act of 2017. Nag-umpisa po yan sa House of Representatives eh. Dahil lahat ng appropriation measures, ano ni Mata Tigil, hindi ko kasuman sila ng senador siya, that all bills that has appropriation funds requirements must originate in the House of Representatives. Of course, the Senate can also discuss it, while the matter is being discussed in the House of Representatives. But the Senate cannot approve that particular bill unless the House of Representatives approve first. Kasi yun na sa Constitution natin eh. And, you know, there will be many things. Kung hindi yan priority na naupong presidente, the sitting president will not give priority to a bill that will require massive amount of funds to disburse and to finance that particular program. It will never be approved. And in our party, the PDP Laban Party, of which I belong to, si PRRD sinabi nga that would be one of our legacies, yung universal tertiary education. Na nagkaroon ng free tertiary education because of Digong, of Tatay Digong. Despite the objection of some of his economic managers, finance department, budget department, NEDA, who were all afraid na baka hindi masustain yan because it would require 100 billion pesos in order to finance a free tertiary education. But President Duterte said, no, we have to find ways on how we can fund this tertiary education because he believed that education is not an expense. Lagi niya sinasabi sa amin sa meeting namin that education should not be treated as an expense but an investment. The best investment that the country or the government can do is not infrastructure, fiscal infrastructure, but human infrastructure development. And education is the best investment that the country can do for its people. Yun ang totoong istorya niyan. Many people can attest to this. Bongo can attest to this. Popoy Rivera, who is the chairman of the chair, until now, I think so, can attest to this. No? Kasi naalala ko ng mga panahon na yan, ang chairperson pa ng chair nun was Patricia Juana ba, yung una? Hold over siya until she was replaced by Popoy Rivera. So I know this story, but the matter is under bridge. May tinatawag na politiko, naniwala ang mga kabataan, but we try to put the record straight na that is part of the Duterte legacy.
Okay, na direction. Pero hindi yata natupad, no? So, what is your position on surveys?
Maraming sir.
Well, for the first time, nagkamali lahat yung mga survey firms dito sa naging resulta ng election. Well, we can always have the excuse, sabihin nila, anyway, the survey was conducted a month before the election or 2 weeks before the election, and there may have been some major activities undertaken by the different political groups or candidates that we have altered the result of the survey. Sabihin nga nila, meron silang margin of error na 2 to 3%. Pero ang laki ng margin of error nila ngayon. Very big error talaga. Sobra. So, ito yung, alam mo, ito yung ayaw ko talaga sa survey. Because disadvantageous yan sa mga neophytes na mga kandidatong katulad ko. No? Kasi na, sabihin nila, na-awareness si Raul Lambino, 1.6%. Yung daw ang na-awareness ng mga tao, kilala si Tony Lambino ng 1.6%. That was by October, tapos naging 6%, 7% by January. Eh yung mga kaibigan ko na gusto mong tumulong sa akin, sabihin na, Raul, talagang po, 7% lang nakakakilala sa'yo, kakaya ka. Ganun ang naging outcome niyan. No? Kasi, talagang maging discourage yung mga supporters mo, even your close friends or even your family members, na sabihin na, sige, tumakbo ka, tutulong kami sa'yo. Tapos, pag lumalabas yung mga surveys, every month, so survey yung mga different firms, hindi lumalabas yung pangalan ni Raul Lambino from 6%, naging 15%, 16%, naging 25%. 1 month before the election, 26% na lang. Eh, hindi yung aking mga kaibigan na gusto pang mag-donate sana ng t-shirts o kaya yung mga tarpaulin. Hindi na magbibigay yun. Lalo kaming dihado. Samantalang yung mga ibang kandidato na 100% yung awareness nila, 99% yung awareness nila, tapos yung approval o preference rating nila nasa 40%, 30%. Sila pa rin ang binibigyan ng mga gustong mag-donate ng pondo. Iyon ang masakit dito sa mga survey na ito ng election. It's really mind conditioning, not just the voters, but the supposedly mga gustong tumulong sa kampanya. At yung mga donors, nobody in his right mind to be giving donation of such huge amount doon sa kandidatong alam naman niyang matatalo. Kung magbibigay man lang yan, konti lang yung ibibigay. Instead na magbigay ng 1 million yan, bigyan ka lang din ng pari 10,000, pwede na papamerienda. Ganun yung nangyari dyan.
Pero another thing about surveys, another thing about surveys, no? Another thing about surveys, no? Alam niyo, kung minsan, nasa survey na lugar, hindi nakapunta doon si Raul, kaya 1% siya. Hindi naman pumunta yung nagsa-survey doon sa lugar na nakababad si Raul na araw-araw yung kanyang mga supporters, Duterte or whatever supporters, taga doon. Kaya, pag pinaverage mo yun, di 1% lang si Raul. Pero, di ba? Kasi yung survey na yun, siguro ang dapat natin ako ang tingin ko kasi sa survey, it should be a gauge for the candidate. Alam mo na 1% ka, kailangan mo bakit na at least 30, 40, 50%. O isunurin mo lang ng palengke, isunurin mo lang ng mga matataong mga lugar, di ba? O kaya, at least initially, meron ka man lang unang pang-salvo mo na para makilala ka, di ba? Pero, yung mga nagsasurvey kasi, siguro, ang kanilang paraan, para dun sa mga produkto, produkto na nationwide na matagal nang nakikilala. So, kunyari, kung beer man yan, sardinas man yan, tinapay man yan, pag sinurvey, kasi widespread na yung karin. Kaya pag kinuha nila yung 1,000, 2,000 na respondents, more or less, it will really reflect the people's sentiment. But in an election, especially for new candidates, as you mentioned, diba, para hindi nila na-survey yung mga lugar kung saan ka nagbabad. So, zero ka nun. But it doesn't mean that you're zero in the whole country.
Yeah. Well, my point, according to Sana, there should be a law to regulate surveys, especially before the election.
I think, I have nothing against having surveys. What I am only against is the publication of the survey to promote a particular candidate. Kasi yun ang nangyayari. I think, okay na, sige, magpa-survey sila. But that would be for the personal consumption of whoever has commissioned the survey. Huwag na niyang ipapublish na ito yung resulta ng aking kinumission na survey because that's going to create really unnecessary mind conditioning in favor of a particular favored candidate and against those not favored candidates. Kasi hindi naman natin alam kung anong ginamit nilang yung methodology. So, pwede nilang i-manipulate yung mga survey na yan na ito ang lalabas sa kanila and then they're going to release that in the social. I think the Congress should do something about it. We can come up with a law or rules and regulations because under the Constitution and under our election law, they can execute, implement, and come up with whatever rules and regulations to ensure peaceful, orderly, honest elections. So that may be one thing. Okay lang mag-survey, pero no more publication from the very beginning. Pagdating dito sa elections. Dahil hindi naman po kasi produkto na binibenta ito na consumable yung mga politiko. Parang gano'n na lang ang bagsak kasi na itong mga politikong tumatakbo, local man o national o party list. They are just like what? Consumable products na kailangan mong i-promote. Just as like a drug or a chocolate or wine or what. Hindi siguro ganun dapat. We should not treat the candidates as commodities that would be subjected for what? Marketing promotions.
Thank you. On that note, I would like to end the forum. Thank you very much, everybody. And tomorrow you're invited for another forum. Okay. Picture muna.
Okay.
By
the way, lest I forget pala. I would like to announce that on June 3, the Association for Philippines-China Understanding will hold its 5th awarding ceremonies with notable personalities whose names we cannot yet announce today to receive the prestigious award for promoting Philippines-China Understanding. Panglima na po namin ito. It will be held in Manila Hotel at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So for those who would like to come and be part of the event, I have, ilan ba yung aking allocation? 10 lang yung allocation ko ng guest eh.
Okay, invite me.
So, kindly list your name who will be interested kay Ibarra, my executive assistant, so that I can send you the necessary invitation if you are interested to join us in this awarding ceremony.
Okay.
Of course, you will be there. You have to be there. Thank you.